What's going on, everybody? Blazing here. Welcome back to the channel. We are on the alt account, and I want to talk about stun sets. Now, I'd ordinarily be on the main account, but that's farming for this Monster Path event because we are going both for the champion along with the awakening form, right? But anyways, let's talk about what we're here for. Let's talk about stun sets. Stun sets are very useful on your account, especially in Centranos. And I kind of wanted to go through two ways you would build a proper stun set, right? There is the damage build, there is the support build. And each one of them is going to require different main stats and substats, and is, going to require probably different champions. So I want to showcase exactly what kind of champions you should be looking for to build them with. And I want to talk about the subsets. So let's get into it. Let's talk about what kind of champions would you actually put in a stun set. Now, they would have to fill one of two qualifications. One would be every one of their abilities needs to be on a AoE. So champions like Artak, who have AoE on the A1, AoE on the A2, AoE on the A3, they would be perfect candidates for a stun set, right? Ideally, though, Artak is better in a region set, depending on what you use them for. But if you got a dupe, you might want to think about a stun set, right? And then the other one is they have to have at least an AoE on the A1, right? If they have another ability that's AoE, that would be great. So champions like Mighty Uko. Mighty Uko has an AoE on the A1, AoE on the A2, and then a revive on the A3 as soon as I can find her. Or him, I should say. They are a great candidate for a stun set, right? So you would definitely put Mighty Uko in a stun set. Maybe a provoke set would definitely be worth it. So now let's talk about maybe some of the legendary champions and the rare champions, along with some of Epic's champions that you would put in a stun set. So again, Artak, if you have a dupe, would be a good one. If you have like a third Kymar, maybe second Kymar, depending on where you use them, would be useful, right? Put them in some of a damage build, because Kymar can nuke the ads down in certain waves. But Krisk, if you're building him for progression with not in Hydra but other areas in the game, you could put him because he's got an AoE on 2 out of his 3 abilities. That would work out well. Aronix is another one, AoE on the A1, definitely worth it, right? Again, these are going to be more for progressions. You're not going to use stun sets in, Hydra or stuff like that, but you will use it in Cursed City and you will use it in Doom Tower, right? You have champions like Torment. He's awesome. Deliana, another one, right? Let's go down and take a look at some of the epics. Perfect candidates for epics are going to be champions like Sylar. Sylar has an AoE on every ability. She's got debuffs. Perfect candidate. Skull Crown, another one. AoE on the A1, AoE on the A2 is a nuker. Definitely a great candidate for progression-wise to build in a stun set. You have other champions that have single target on their A1, but the A2 and the A3 are AoE. Champions like that I wouldn't ordinarily build in a stun set unless it's like your 6th or 7th stun set, or unless you're in Cursed City and need it. But Geomancer has an A1. He's not going to do a lot of damage, so if you can build him tanky with enough EHP and some accuracy, he's actually not a bad champ to put in a stun set for progression, right? Let's talk about some rares. Now, there's plenty of good rares out there, right? You have champions like Soulbond, AoE A1, right? You could build her as a nuker, you could build her as pure support, and just abuse masteries, trying to progress through some of those secret rooms. Fellhound. Fellhound, AoE on the A1, support on the A2 and the A3. Great candidate for a stun set. You could build him as a damage, you could build him as a pure support. Really depends on what you want. And then actually, I want to say the best champion is Bellower. And that's because he's got debuffs on every ability. Every ability is AoE. He's a strong candidate. And I really think stun set for him is like the go-to set, right? So again, just to recap, you're looking for somebody that has an AoE on the A1 at least, if not AoE on every other ability in their kit on the A2, A3, you know, passive maybe if they have a counterattack or something like that. When building that stun set Nuker, what are you going to be looking for? What are you going to prioritize on the pieces? Now, I'm going to go through and break down what the best in slot would be in the end game and give you a little bit of a suggestion of what you could use early on. Not much changes, honestly. So, primary stats that you're looking for is speed. Speed is going to be the number one thing on a sunset. You want to try to make sure your champion is going at least 2 to 1, right? Which means most of your champions need to be built with at least 200 speed. As you move into Centranos, most of those champions are going to need to be built at like 236 and more. After that, you're going to make sure you want to have 100% crit rate. So crit rate is going to be a must, right? Don't look at my Skull Crown. I know she's 99% crit rate. Plarium, give me that 1% crit rate scroll. I know you have it. I need that glyph. After that, we're looking at crit damage, right? We want to make sure that our primary stat is going to be boosted as much as possible. So crit damage is going to be what we're looking for. Currently, ours is built at 304, so pretty solid, right? Now, after that, we're looking for whatever primary stat is going to boost their damage. So Skull Crown being attack, we want attack percentage, right? In that order. Flat attack comes in the fifth one, and then whatever else falls on the piece of gear is what it is. Ideally, my rule for moving a piece into the end game is it's got to have 3 of the stats on a legendary piece, 2 on an epic, and then on a rare from my account, it's got to have those 2 and it's got a double roll. If it doesn't, I leave it and then it gets sold. I roll everything up to 8 minimum, right? Just to see what kind of rolls we get, whether they're high or low, and could this help me build a set. Now, for the weapon, again, we're looking speed first, crit rate, primary set. This isn't the best for Skull Crown, but it works because it helps me get closer to that 100% crit rate. Gives it a little bit of survivability, which you can definitely use in Centranos. Accuracy isn't really going to help me because I'm not building for it, right? So ideally here, we would want speed, crit rate, attack percentage, and maybe crit damage, right? Helm. Here we'd be looking for basically what this is currently has is best in slot for pieces, except that we would want attack percentage here. Your shield, you're not going to be able to get attack percentage. So this is pretty much one of the better pieces that you could get. If you can get some defense percentage or HP percentage, that might be a little helpful, but you cannot get attack percentage here, unfortunately. So this is probably going to be one of the better pieces you get. Your gloves. Your gloves, you can go one of 2 ways. You can either go crit damage gloves, just as I have, if it's got a crit rate substat or, some other decent substats on it. So if it had crit rate along with speed and attack percentage, I'd roll it up and definitely use it. Or you can go crit rate main stat with crit damage substat, right? Which is what most of you are going to have early game, because your builds are going to need to have that 100% crit rate, and you're not going to have enough crit rate through the rest of the account on your gear to be able to get those main stat crit damage goals. So you want speed, right? Attack percentage or defense percentage or HP percentage, depending on what it is, the flat stat, and then either crit rate or crit damage. Those are the best ones, right? Depending on whatever the main stat is going to be. Chest, you're ideally looking for the primary stat value, right? So for Skull Crown, again, it is attack percentage. So the main stat's got to be attack percentage on the chest. And then we're looking for, honestly, HP, crit damage, crit rate, and flat attack. If it happens to have a defense percentage instead of the flat attack or the HP percentage, great. Honestly, as long as it fills those 3 roles, it's got those 3 pieces, it's definitely something I would level up no matter what. Boots. Boots, you could go one of 2 ways here. You could go speed, just as I have, right? If your gear allows it on the other pieces. If it doesn't allow it, right, to be able to get that right build, then you're going to be using boots. You're going to be using speed boots. But if it does allow you to not have to use speed boots, you could use attack percentage. Whatever the primary value stat increase is going to be is what you can use. So if you have speed boots, you're looking for crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, flat attack, again, The flat attack could be interchanged by HP percentage or defense percentage to give you a little bit more of a survivability. But ideally, you're looking to get at least 1 or 2 rolls, just like as we have in crit damage and crit rate. So if this was, attack percentage, I'd be happy with this boot, right? All right, let's talk about if it was attack percentage boot, right? Then we'd be looking at a total different makeup of subsets. We'd be looking at speed, trying to get as much as possible on it. We'd be looking at crit rate. We'd be looking at crit damage. And then again, flat attack or anything else that would be a survivability booster, right? So HP percentage or defense percentage. And if not, we take whatever else lands, preferably attack flat. All right, so let's talk about your support builds and what you're going to be looking for to gear them in, right? So just like in our damage build, we wanted speed. Speed is going to be, again, the #1 thing, right? We want to make sure we're going 2 to 1. After that, we're looking for accuracy. We want to abuse whatever part of the build we can, which if they have a buff shift like Uko and land debuffs, you're going to need accuracy. Minimum, I suggest building as you start moving into the late to end game is going to be about 4 to 450, right? Should prevent any of that, 3% RNG as much as possible. After that, you're looking for EHP, effective health pool. Basically, you want to prioritize HP first, then defense. After the 4,200 mark on the defense, which can have a lot of factors be used into that, everything is pretty much has a diminishing return, right? So 4,200 is the cap that I would build a champion for, unless they're a defensive-based nuker, which then that's a whole different story, right? But 4,200 is usually the solid number as a cap. I build most of my support champions with a minimum of 3,500 defense, right? Which might be a little hard for most accounts to do. And then I focus on as much HP as possible. So what are we looking for at weapons? Well, weapons, ideally, we want speed, #1, accuracy, #2, HP percentage, #3, and flat HP, #4, right? You're not going to be able to get defense percentage on the weapon, unfortunately. On the helmet, we're looking for HP percentage. We're looking for speed, right? Again, speed #1, accuracy second, HP percentage, and then flat HP, right? Those are ideally going to be what you're looking for. Your shield, right? Again, this is pretty much ideally what you're looking for the top row pieces, guys. You want speed, accuracy, HP percentage, and flat HP. If the piece happens to land instead of flat HP, some defense or defense percentage, that's fine. Perfect, right? You're looking for the survivability, but this is ideally what you're kind of looking for on a top row piece. All right, let's talk about the gloves. The gloves, you can go one of 2 ways. You can go with defense percentage gloves, or you can go with HP percentage gloves, right? As the main set. After that, what you're looking for is speed, accuracy, and then whatever else it is to fill in. So for this glove, the only bad part is that flat attack. If this had accuracy, it'd be a perfect glove, right? Ideally, I can't make this happen. But I wish I could just reroll the flat attack. But this is an ideal glove of what you'd be looking for in a stun set, right? All right, let's talk about chess. Now, chess, there is one of 3 ways, right? You could be looking at an accuracy chess like myself if the rest of the build allows it, right? If it doesn't allow it, then you're looking at a defense percentage or HP percentage. Now, the best stat that you're going to be looking for on a chess piece is still going to be speed. Then the next primary stat basically changes depending on what it is for the primary stat. If it is HP and defense percentage, you're actually looking for accuracy. If it is accuracy, then you're actually looking for HP than defense, right? So on a piece like this, we did pretty good. We've got HP percentage, we've got speed. We did get a roll in crit damage, but ideally here, if we got HP or defense percentage, right? Flat HP or flat defense and HP percentage, this would have been even better. On the flip side, if this was a defense or HP percentage chess, then we'd be looking for speed, accuracy with, either either HP or defense percentage, depending on what the opposite of this one would be, along with either flat or defense HP. Boots. The boots, again, you could go one of 3 ways. You could go with a speed boot just as we have if you need the speed. If you don't need the speed, right, you could go with a defense percentage or HP boot. Now, again, the substats change a little bit on them. If it's an HP or defense boot, then you're prioritizing speed, accuracy, and then whatever other stats you can for the EHP, right? Defense percentage, HP, yada, yada, yada. If it is speed, then you're prioritizing accuracy first and then EHP. So then you're looking for HP percentage, defense percentage, or flat defense, right? All right, so a couple of things to take note of are going to be, one is taking a particular mastery when you're using a stun set, and that would be Fearsome Presence, right? Fearsome Presence gives you a 5% chance to place a stun, sleep, freeze, true fear, provoke, sheep from sets, right? So definitely helps you making it from that 18% to 23. Number two is going to be that stun sets do not require accuracy, right? Obviously, that's why we weren't building our Skull Crown in accuracy, right? And then the last thing is affinity doesn't really matter, right? Whether it's negative affinity, you still have the chance, the 18 or 23% chance to land that stun. It's just very RNG heavy. So hopefully this video helped you. If it did, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to join us on Sundays for the Knights of Teleria, where you get myself, JR Star 3, Final Campachi, Gesto Gaming, Nacho Plays 50, Jarrett Gaming, where we talk everything Raid Shadow Legends. And, we have a fun, exciting time. We talk about what's going on through the week, the good, the bad, the ugly. We have some friendly banter. And, it's a great fun time. You get to see players from all perspectives, whether we're early game, mid game, late game, free to play, pay to win, mid tier spenders, so it kind of gets the overall of, what you might be going on with for your account. As always, guys, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other, and I will catch you guys in the next one.